Welcome to Donington Park for the finals of the BRSCC Alfa Romeo Championship. These Italian stallions have provided excellent racing throughout the season, and on pole position is Barry McMahon, fresh from his recent race here in the Brick Car Series. It's now over to Scott Woodwiss to take you through the rest of the grid.
Thank you, Lloyd. And on a very sunny afternoon here at Donington Park, this is the grid for race 1 in the Alfa Romeo Championship. Barry McMahon and Graham Seeger on the front row from Roger McMahon and Ron Davidson, then Paul Webster and Vincent Dubois from Ray Foley and Simon McPhee, with Chris McPhee rallying at the front half of the grid in 9th place. Then to the Twin Sparks with Tom Hill and Andy Hancock on the front row from David Messenger and Andrew Bourke, then Simon Cresswell and James Browning, Andy Inman and Ricardo Loselli, the debutants, ahead of Jeremy Chilton, Vince Proto and Michael Tiedemann, who's forced to start from the back of the grid with a penalty. So, here's how it works. The front few rows will head off first, started by the lights, and then a 10-second delay, and the Twin Sparks will be started by the Union Jack. So, McMahon on the left, Seeger on the right. It's Alfa 156 versus Alfa GTV in the sprint down towards turn 1. Lights out, and we are racing at Donington, and a good start from the two McMahons, and also from Paul Webster on the inside. Down towards Redgate for the first time. Barry McMahon leads from Roger in second place, and also look at Vincent Dubois in the silver, number 88. The leaders turn their way through Redgate. Meanwhile, here come the Twin Sparks, and it's a drag race down towards turn 1. It's Hill on the left, Hancock in the middle, Bourke on the right, and Hancock wins the whole shot. Hancock turns his way through turn 1 in the lead. Bourke goes wide on the exit, loses out to second place. James Browning also going wide too, as Barry McMahon already starting to stretch out a lead in his number 57 modified class 156. Here are our Twin Spark leaders towards the end of the first lap. Already there's a breakaway duo. It is Hancock versus Hill, then Andrew Bourke ahead of Dave Messenger, and then Simon Cresswell. Now we should mention that the battle for the overall and Twin Spark Cup titles is going on between Cresswell, Hill and Bourke heads into the weekend leading the standings. So this weekend is all but crucial because we will leave with a Twin Spark Cup and overall Alfa Romeo champion. The question is, out of these three in this pack of 6, who's it going to be? The rest of the Twin Sparks heading their way through. Got Michael Tiedemann battling with James Browning already down the pit straight. And also in the mix too is Jeremy Chilton scrapping with our Italian rookie Ricardo Loselli. Now, two drivers that aren't rookies are the two McPhee brothers, and they are going side by side through the Craner curves. So in the first couple of laps, and already they're putting on a show. And they're just starting to keep Ron Davidson in the orange 164 in the Power Trophy class fairly honest. Out of the old hairpin, through the kink where the bridge used to be at Starkeys, then through Schwantz curve and into McLean's. And there is Ron Davidson. He's a stalwart of the championship. Good to see him out at this final meeting. And he's brought his fantastic bright orange 164 out to play. Out of Coppice Corner, down the back straight. And you have to say, you can't help but love and admire these two Fiat Puntos. Simon and Chris McPhee driving two very well sorted cars put together by Southgate Motorsport. And they really are potent little machines. They do like to keep up with the slightly higher horsepower cars in the bigger classes. There is Chris McPhee in the 22, the grey and fluorescent yellow Punto, and then behind him, the bright white car, that's his brother Simon. So down the pit straight, we look back to the exit of the chicane, and the quintet that's behind him, as someone locks up at Redgate in the foreground, is the Twin Spark contingent. And it's still Hancock that leads. And then we have Hill, Bourke, Messenger, and then Simon Cresswell in 5th position. There's a battle on going behind for 6th, as Bourke and Messenger turn their way out of Redgate. There's Cresswell. And also we've got Tiedemann, Inman and Browning scrapping over 6th, 7th and 8th in class, cascading their way down through the Craner curves. There's Andy Hancock, good to see him back in the championship. Again, hasn't raced in the championship for over a year, but he's certainly a welcome addition on the grid this weekend, and he's proving why he really shouldn't ever have been away, because the pace that he's showing certainly means that he's lost none of his touch. This car has been in a couple of endurance races. You see Dave Messenger. If you look on the left rear, there's a little bit of smoke that's developing and emitting from that corner of the car as he bumps over the curb at Coppice Corner through the right-hander onto the back straight. And Tom Hill is feeling pretty racy here because he's looking to the outside, putting himself in Andy Hancock's mirrors, looking for the move now down towards the Fogarty S's. They turn in. Hancock, Hill, Bork, Messenger, then Simon Cresswell, then Tiedemann, Inman, and then James Browning in the white, blue, black and red number 41. Good scrap going on here as they turn out of the Fogarty S's. Meanwhile, up at the front of the Twin Sparks, here it comes. To the outside goes Tom Hill, looking for the switchback on the exit of Redgate corner. But not enough grip, and he tries to go around the outside because Hancock was a little slow on the exit of the corner. They will try and go side by side if there's any opportunity. And as we look back now to the battle that still goes on between 6th, 7th and 8th places, just starts to spread out a little bit. There's gaps that have formed between Messrs Tiedemann, Browning and Inman. There is Andy Inman coming to this weekend with the position inside the top 10. Meanwhile, here are our Twin Spark leaders, and they've all closed up again. Cresswell just tagging onto the back of this 5-car train. But Hancock just showing everyone the way as they turn their way through. And Bork took a lot of curb on the inside of Coppice, as they tend to do. Out to the right-hander. Still Hancock leads as Bork sweeps out from around Hill, and so does Messenger, and I think Tom Hill's got a problem. Title contender Tom Hill is in trouble. The number 1 car slows and loses pace down towards the Fogarty S's, and he's gone from 2nd to 5th in the blink of an eye. So now the fight's on between Bork and Messenger. Cresswell's in there too, but Tom Hill is struggling on the pit straight. Here comes Tiedemann and Browning closing in. Meanwhile, for 3rd place in class, it's Cresswell on the inside. It's Messenger on the outside. Bork closes in the inside line. Messenger tries to go around the outside. He finds his way balked by Bork and by Cresswell. Runs wide on the exit of the corner and loses out to Cresswell. So Cresswell up to 3rd in class now with a great move up the inside. Very opportunistic. And as they turn their way through the Craner curves, it now means that the fight is now on at the moment to score as many points as possible between Bork and Cresswell. Messenger with the still smoky left rear in 4th position now. And as for Tom Hill, he's completely disappeared out of shot. I think possibly he may have been swallowed up position-wise by both Tiedemann and also Inman, and also that was James Browning in the mix too. So he's obviously tumbling towards the bottom of the class. Whether that's a signal for retirement or not, I'm not sure, but he may try and carry on and pick up as many points as possible, because in a title fight, when you get into a situation where the car is ailing or it's got a problem or some kind of issue, without risking damaging too much, you have to try and keep going to try and be in damage limitation mode and just score as many points as you can, because possibly if it's a bad enough result, you could try and drop it. Now, looking at the results which Tom could drop, looking at it here, I think possibly, yes, I think there's an opportunity here that he could possibly drop this round. It is one of his worst. It's the worst result he's had for a while. In fact, no, looking at his points, I'm looking at the points table here, he won't be able to drop it because he did score 2 poor results at Alton Park and also up at Silverstone. And he's had problems before, so I think potentially that could be a real hammer blow to his opportunity. He's just going to be out there to score as many points as he can. That's all he can do at this point in time. So our 2nd, 3rd and 4th place battle continues to rage on here at Donington Park. Bork ahead of Cresswell, then Dave Messenger. 2nd, 3rd and 4th all together. Still that left rear smoking on Dave Messenger's car. Either that's a major technical problem or just something like a wheel bearing or a piece of bodywork is rubbing against the car. And they've all got to be careful, because in the background just behind them is our race leader Barry McMahon in the 57. He should come sweeping past the inside. You just saw a glimpse of him on the left-hand side. As we focus on our leader, Andy Hancock, revelling in the Grover Dean sponsored car. And there's McMahon. There's Barry McMahon putting a lap on 2nd, 3rd and 4th places. Charges out of the final chicane, down the pit straight. And look at the straight line difference between a twin spark and a modified class car. Barry McMahon just completely blows by Andy Hancock on pace. But then they are in different classes, so you would expect that. As Barry McMahon continued his way to spread eagle the field and maintain his advantage in the lead with quite some consummate ease. So the scrap continues for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. It's still Bork from Cresswell from Messenger. Tumbling their way through again the Craner curves, nose to tail, line astern, sweeping it in through the right-hander. And it's a wonderful driver circuit, Donington Park. It sweeps and undulates. There's lots of elevation change. It's a real driver's favourite here, and it's a great circuit to see the 2017 BRSCC Alfa Romeo Championship meet its conclusion. So far, Barry McMahon certainly shown the kind of pace where, if he had done a full season, potentially he could have been in running for the title. Now then, here's our McPhee brothers, who seem to have lost everyone else and thought, well, there's no one else to race apart from ourselves, so we may as well entertain each other. And that's exactly what they're doing, as well as the Donington crowds. Down the pit straight, nose to tail. It's still at the moment Chris ahead of Simon. Chris is in the grey and fluorescent yellow number 22, and Simon is in the bright white number 21. So that's for identification. Usually they run as effectively teammates in two virtually identical looking cars, but they've decided to run in different paint schemes, maybe because Simon's car wasn't able to be put in its team colour scheme in time. But it certainly makes telling the two apart much easier, I can tell you. Barry McMahon then turning his way out of the right-hander at Old Hairpin. Lock up from Chris McPhee into McLean's. Turns out of the right-hander. They'll start to climb again, and Simon's feeling racy. Looking this way and that, putting himself into his brother's wing mirrors. And through the right-hander at Coppice. And onto the back straight, past the Donington Historic Museum. Formula 1 cars there, and there is Barry McMahon, look. So not only has he dropped the twin spark cars, he's also coming after the two invitation class puntos, and at quite a rate of knots, as you can tell. So through the chicane go the two Fiat puntos. Here comes McMahon, and again look at the speed difference here as McMahon puts his foot down and simply just sweeps past both of them, almost as if they're standing still. Then again, they are concentrating on their own battle, so, and respecting the blue flags at the same time. So that's good driving by both of them to maintain the scrap that's going on, whilst at the same time giving plenty of room and ease for Barry McMahon to sweep past both of them.
I think probably the best
down into the Craner curves again. You look now a little bit further up with our other modified class runners. Graham Seeger going through shots in the Alfa Romeo GTV, and locking up there out of the Old Hairpin. That is Barry McMahon's sibling, Roger McMahon, in the number 29. That car also looked after by Kellett Motorsport, as you can see. And it was due to be driven, as it was at the previous meeting at Mallory Park, by Alistair Kellett, who is the outgoing BRSCC Fiesta champion. And that title this weekend is also being settled, amongst others, here on finals weekend at Donington Park. Graham Seeger heading out a shot. Former overall and modified champion. He's on course to get another modified title. Looking out to our twin spark leaders, still Andy Hancock maintaining the lead in his first race weekend back for a while. Then Andrew Bourke in the black and white car, then Simon Cresswell. And then this battle for fourth that's developing now, because Dave Messenger has fallen off the back of this battle for second. He's now finding himself under attack from Michael Tiedemann in the silver and red number 15. Into the right-hander goes Andrew Bourke. And some eagle-eyed viewers who follow the championship may be looking at Andrew Bourke's car thinking that's a little bit different. What could be different also is who's in fourth place in the next shot, because heading through the Craner curves, I did see Tiedemann moving his way alongside Dave Messenger, and there it is. There's the change. So Michael Tiedemann does find his way through. Looks to me as if that Messenger was a little bit tentative on the exit of the corner, and Michael Tiedemann, ever the opportunist, pounced on the chance to get through, and he's taken it with both hands. He's up to P4 now in the twin spark class. But as we were saying with Andrew Bourke's car, those who are eagle-eyed amongst those who support the championship may be looking at Andrew Bourke's car and thinking that's not his car, and you'd be right for thinking so, because he's had a different car rebuilt. He had an accident at Mallory Park and had to borrow this car from Paul Plant at Bianco Auto Developments to get himself here for the finale to be in contention for the title. So all hands on deck there. Now you are still looking, as we see, at our two Fiat Puntos. They've got another modified class car to get through as Chris McPhee looks to try and get past Simon, because there has been a change, as you can see, but he had to back out of it because he saw the blue flags, and more importantly he saw Graham Seeger's black and red GTV charging up behind him and thought, I'm not getting involved in any of this. And just let him through, respected the blue flags, and now that they've both let him through, they can scrap away as they have done before. So So a change of position then. The two McPhee brothers have swapped around. It is now the white number 21 of Simon. There he is. He actually qualified ahead of Chris on this occasion, only by about a couple of tenths. But it just does show that Simon has come on in leaps and bounds across the season, to the point where the car that he's pedaling, and I think it's a brand new car because he is normally in a different Punto, a different sort of looking Punto. They've both got the slightly facelifted version, whereas Simon normally drives a slightly older car, but he's managed to procure a newer one, and probably that's the reason why it's unpainted, because it is brand new and it's virtually identical to the one that Chris is driving, and it means they're on equal footing as they battle in the invitation class. Here's Barry McMahon back in the lead. He's coming up towards the tail enders in the Twin Spark class. He's just got past Jeremy Chilton in the black and green number 54. And the next car he's just lapped is actually Tom Hill, because he's still struggling around, as we said earlier on, just trying to get as many points as possible to try and negate this poor result. And he's also just got past Paul Webster, and also the green car there, number 27. Warm welcome to Riccardo Loselli, the Italian, making his debut in the championship this weekend. It's great to see a new driver, a fresh face, and a new car on the circuit. That's a freshly built 147 in bright green, so you can't really miss it. And it's good to have him here, and hopefully this is the start of potentially a run at a full campaign next year. So fingers crossed we'll see him in the championship in 2018. So here is your overall race leader, Barry McMahon, in a superbly prepared car, built and looked after by Advanced Motorsport. As Lloyd said at the top of the programme, this car has also been campaigning in the Brick Car GTM Production Championship and also in the Endurance Championship as well, and they have the Endurance and Sprint categories. So this car knows how to compete on both a long distance endurance level and a more fast-paced sprint level like it is right now. As he heads his way now up towards Coppice, he is virtually unchallenged. He's lapped everyone up until Paul Webster, who, as we know, leads the Power Trophy category. So the only cars he hasn't actually lapped are his sibling Roger and, of course, Graham Seeger. So he really has done a number on just about everyone in the field. That's the chicane, onto the pit straight once again. Beautiful sounding engine on this 156. And the aerodynamics and everything in the internals working beautifully at the moment. There is your Power Trophy leader, Paul Webster, in the silver and black 156 with the yellow roof. And just behind him, closing him down, is Graham Seeger in the GTV in the modified class. And here's our trio of tail-ending twin sparks, headed by Riccardo Loselli. I imagine Tom Hill is only there, and I say this with the greatest of respect to Riccardo, of course, him being a debutant. You can see the yellow square with the black cross. That denotes that he's a rookie, has done less than 6 races. I suspect the reason that Tom's there is only because he's got some technical issues, and therefore he's driving it in such a way where it allows him to stay pretty much in the middle between Loselli and Chilton at the moment. There is Riccardo. Impressive run so far on his first ever race weekend. Good job by the Italian rookie. Hopefully, as we said, this is the start of him jumping in. And this is the great thing, it's a championship where, especially in the Twin Spark Cup, it's a great chance for rookie drivers to take their first steps in the championship and first steps in motorsport. You get into the Twin Spark Cup, everyone has to run the car which had the 2-litre Twin Spark engine as a standard option, which is obviously most cars like the 156s and the 147s. And it's a great chance to have some proper close tin-top action, less than you may think. So there's some great drivers here, some young drivers, including Tom Hill, who are really finding their feet in saloon car racing, as they now have to allow the other McMahon through. This is Roger, number 29, as he blasts his way past the trio down towards Redgate Corner again. Meanwhile, his sibling Barry is up at McLean's and then Coppice, and it is the last lap of the race. There's not much you can say, really. You could use a lot of superlatives to describe this drive. It's been fairly dominant. Hasn't really had anyone else around him to challenge him too much. And as he heads out of Coppice onto the back straight for the final time, James Browning is the next guy he's got to try and put a lap on, but he won't make it. And also Michael Tylerman stopped on the outside of the circuit, I'm afraid. He won't make the flag, but this man will. through the chicane for the final time, took the lead, stayed there and never looked like losing it. Up towards the checkered flag, a dominant drive from Barry McMahon. He will take race 1 at Donington Park here in the BRSCC Alfa Romeo Championship on finals weekend. And here comes Graham Seeger. He'll be 2nd place in the modified category after a fine effort, just 9.3 seconds behind. Andy Inman comes across the line to finish in 6th in class. Here comes our Power Trophy winner, finishing 4th overall. And that's Paul Webster, just in front, in fact, of the 3rd placed overall car and 3rd place in modified, which is, of course, Roger McMahon. And then our tail enders at the bottom of the Twin Spark with Riccardo Losselli ahead of an ailing Tom Hill, and then Jeremy Chilton. So here's the full result from race 1 at Donington. It looks like this. Barry McMahon wins from Graham Seeger and Roger McMahon, a modified 1-2-3. Then Paul Webster wins Power Trophy from Ron Davidson. Chris McPhee beats his brother Simon in the Invitation Puntos. And then Andy Hancock wins Twin Spark on his return from Simon Cresswell, and crucially Dave Messenger. James Browning ahead of Andrew Bork, who dropped away in the latter stages. Then Andy Inman, Riccardo Losselli, Tom Hill with a lot to do from 15th. And then it's Jeremy Chilton in 16th. A great first race, and here's Lloyd in the paddock with winner Barry McMahon.
Barry, fantastic win in the Alfa Romeo Championship. Some serious pace out there today.
Yeah, the car's going really, really well. We've had it retuned recently by the guys at Advanced Motorsport, and they've done a fantastic job. Just had to monitor the oil temperature there at the end, so it's short shifting, but ultimately really, really impressed.
You seem to have had the car set up really, really well here for Donington Park. Looking forward to a similar type of pace tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely. I was here about 3 weeks ago with the Brit car, so I'm quite familiar with the circuit, and we changed the gear ratio to suit that particular meeting, so obviously we've left it in there. I'm looking forward to another race tomorrow.
Fantastic. Congratulations once again.
Thank you very much.
Andy, well-deserved win in the Twin Spark class. Fantastic race out there.
Yeah, it was. I don't know what happened to one or two of the guys I was fighting with, but the first 2 or 3 laps were the hardest laps I've ever done in the Alfa Championship. And then Tom dropped away and had a bit of a gap. But the tyres were going off, and you never know with Donington. One mistake can be costly at any of the corners. So yeah, great.
And looking forward to the next race?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to have I have one beer tonight, and then cause it's my first ever win in the Alfa Championship, so I'm delighted. And then yeah, on to tomorrow.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations once again. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you.